The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Federation buzzed with excitement. Alien leaders from 1,000 worlds gathered to discuss the latest news. A new species had been discovered in a far-off corner of the galaxy. They called themselves humans. Zork, the blue-skinned ambassador from Centauri Prime, stood up to speak. His tentacles waved in the air as he addressed the council. "My fellow galactic citizens," Zork began, his translator device converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic common. "We have studied these humans for many cycles now. They are interesting creatures." The chamber fell silent, all eyes and sensing organs focused on Zork. "Humans are emotional, unpredictable, and highly social," Zork continued. "But most importantly, they are terrible at war." A wave of laughter rippled through the chamber. In a galaxy where conflict was common, being bad at war was seen as a major weakness. Grax, the rock-like representative from the Silicon Confederacy, rumbled with amusement. "How bad are they, Zork? Tell us more." Zork's eyes twinkled with mirth. "They fight among themselves constantly, but their weapons are primitive. They still use projectiles and explosives. Can you believe it?" More laughter filled the chamber. The idea of using such outdated technology seemed absurd to the advanced races present. "But that's not all," Zork went on. "Their tactics are laughable. They often charge straight into battle with little planning. And their leaders, they make decisions based on emotions rather than logic." The council members shook their heads in disbelief. How could any species survive, let alone thrive, with such poor war-making skills? Ilara, the holographic representative of the AI collective, spoke up. Her voice was calm and analytical. "Perhaps we should not underestimate these humans. History shows that appearances can be deceiving." Zork waved a tentacle dismissively. "Nonsense. We've observed them for years. They're no threat to us. In fact," he paused for dramatic effect, "I propose we add their planet to our empire. Think of the resources we could harvest." The chamber erupted in excited chatter. The idea of easily conquering a new world was appealing to many. But not everyone was convinced. In a dark corner of the chamber, General Cragg of the warrior caste leaned towards his aide. "Something doesn't feel right," he growled softly. "These humans, there's more to them than meets the eye." Izad, a young warrior named Thrix, looked puzzled. "But sir, all the data shows they're weak. Why are you concerned?" Craig's eyes narrowed. "Because, young one, no species survives for long in this harsh universe by being weak. These humans, they must have some hidden strength we're not seeing." As the council voted overwhelmingly to invade Earth, Cragg couldn't shake his uneasy feeling. He had a hunch that the galaxy was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating its newest members. Little did the Galactic Federation know, their misconceptions about humanity were about to be shattered. The humans, with their resourcefulness, adaptability, and fierce determination, were far from the easy conquest the aliens imagined. As the invasion plans were set in motion, the stage was set for a conflict that would shock the galaxy and prove that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you underestimate. On Earth, oblivious to the coming storm, humans went about their daily lives. But soon, very soon, they would be called upon to defend their home against impossible odds. And in doing so, they would show the galaxy why it was a terrible mistake to think humans were awful at war. The truth, as the aliens would soon discover, would indeed shock them. The day Earth changed forever started like any other. People went to work, children played in parks, and life went on as usual. No one knew that high above, hidden behind the moon, an alien armada was preparing to strike. Admiral Zex of the Galactic Federation fleet looked at the blue planet on his view screen. His mandibles clicked with anticipation. "This will be easy," he thought. "These humans won't know what hit them." At precisely noon GMT, the invasion began. Thousands of sleek, silver ships suddenly appeared in Earth's skies. They hovered over major cities, their presence casting long shadows, and causing immediate panic. In New York, Sarah Johnson was walking her dog when she saw the ships. Her jaw dropped. "Oh my God," she whispered, pulling out her phone to record the incredible sight. Meanwhile, in Beijing, Lai Wei was in a business meeting when the building shook. He ran to the window and saw a massive ship looming over the city. "This can't be happening," he muttered in disbelief. The aliens' plan was simple: show overwhelming force, demand surrender, and take over with minimal resistance. They expected the humans to cower in fear and give up without a fight. They were wrong. As alien messages boomed from the ships, demanding Earth's immediate surrender, something unexpected happened. Instead of panicking, people began to organize. In London, retired Army Colonel James Blackwood took charge. He grabbed his old uniform and headed to Trafalgar Square, where confused citizens had gathered. "Listen up, people," he shouted. "This is not a drill. We are under attack, and we need to fight back." Across the globe, similar scenes played out. Veterans, police officers, and ordinary citizens with leadership skills stepped up. They organized people into groups, gathering supplies and planning resistance. The aliens were puzzled. Admiral Zex frowned at his tactical display. "Why aren't they surrendering?" he asked his second-in-command. "Don't they realize how outmatched they are?" But the humans weren't thinking about being outmatched. They were thinking about protecting their homes, their families, and their planet. In a bunker deep beneath Washington, D.C., the U.S. President addressed the nation and the world. Her voice was calm but determined. "My fellow humans," she said, "we face the greatest threat in our history. But we will not go quietly. We will fight, and we will win." The speech was broadcast worldwide, translated into dozens of languages. It sparked a fire of resistance in hearts across the globe. The aliens, growing impatient, decided to demonstrate their power. They aimed their weapons at Mount Rushmore, intending to destroy the famous monument as a show of force. But as their energy beam shot towards the mountain, something incredible happened. A hidden defense system, part of a top-secret project, sprang to life. A shimmering force field appeared, deflecting the alien blast. Admiral Zex's eyes widened in shock. "Impossible," he exclaimed. "They're not supposed to have this technology." What the aliens didn't know was that humans had been preparing for this day for decades. Area 51 wasn't just a conspiracy theory. It was the heart of Earth's secret defense program. As the aliens reeled from this surprise, humans launched their counterattack. Fighter jets scrambled from hidden bases, engaging the alien ships in fierce aerial battles. On the ground, people used whatever weapons they could find, from military-grade firearms to improvised explosives. The aliens, expecting an easy victory, were caught off guard by the ferocity and ingenuity of human resistance. They had severely underestimated humanity's will to survive and their ability to unite in the face of a common enemy. As the first day of the invasion drew to a close, the aliens found themselves not in control of Earth, but locked in a desperate battle they had never anticipated. Admiral Zex looked at the reports coming in from all over the planet. His forces had suffered significant losses, and they had secured few victories. He realized, with a sinking feeling, that this war would not be the easy conquest they had imagined. As night fell on Earth, humans everywhere prepared for the long fight ahead. They had survived the first day of the invasion, and they were determined to survive many more. The aliens were about to learn a harsh lesson. Never underestimate the human spirit, especially in times of war. The battle for Earth had only just begun, and the galaxy was about to be shocked by what humans could do when pushed to the brink. As the sun rose on the second day of the invasion, both humans and aliens were in for surprises. The aliens had expected to wake up to a conquered planet. Instead, they found themselves facing a determined and surprisingly effective resistance. In the ruins of downtown Los Angeles, a group of civilians turned fighters huddled in a partially collapsed parking garage. Their leader, Maria Rodriguez, a former video game designer, was using her laptop to coordinate attacks. "Okay, team," Maria said, her eyes glued to the screen. "The alien patrol is coming down 7th Street. Jake, you're up." Jake, a construction worker, grinned as he hefted a homemade electromagnetic pulse (EMP) device. "Time to show these aliens some human ingenuity," he said, before disappearing into the rubble. Moments later, an alien scout ship rounded the corner. Suddenly, Jake's device activated. The ship's engines sputtered and died, sending it crashing to the ground. The human fighters cheered as they swarmed the downed craft. Miles above the Earth, Admiral Zex received the report of another lost scout ship. He slammed his tentacle against his command chair in frustration. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "They're supposed to be primitive." His science officer, Vex, looked nervous. "Sir, it appears we may have underestimated their adaptability. They're using our own technology against us." Meanwhile, in the heart of Silicon Valley, a different kind of battle was raging. A team of hackers, led by teenage prodigy Zhou Chen, had managed to infiltrate the alien communication network. "I'm in," Zhou exclaimed, her fingers flying over her keyboard. Their encryption was tough, but not tough enough for a girl who's been coding since she was 5. With access to the alien network, humans gained a crucial advantage. They could now intercept alien orders and feed false information back to the invaders. In orbit, the alien fleet suddenly found itself in chaos. Ships were receiving conflicting orders, squadrons were flying into ambushes, and supply lines were being disrupted. Back on the ground, humans were demonstrating another strength the aliens hadn't counted on: creativity in warfare. In Australia's outback, indigenous trackers were guiding special forces to alien landing sites. In the Amazon rainforest, native tribes were using their knowledge of the terrain to lead aliens into natural traps. Even in the cities, humans were turning their environment into a weapon. In New York, a group of Broadway stagehands used their rigging skills to set up elaborate traps for alien ground forces. In Tokyo, sumo wrestlers were proving surprisingly effective in close-quarter combat against the physically weaker aliens. Admiral Zex was beginning to realize the gravity of their mistake. "We thought their diversity was a weakness," he mused to his officers. "But it's become their strength. Every human seems to have a unique skill they're bringing to this fight." The alien leaders had assumed that a species that fought among themselves so often would be easy to conquer. They didn't understand that those very conflicts had honed humanity's warfighting skills over millennia. As the second day of fighting drew to a close, the aliens found themselves in a precarious position. Their carefully planned invasion was falling apart in the face of human resourcefulness and determination. In Washington, D.C., military leaders gathered in the Pentagon's war room. General Sarah Harper looked at the global battle map, a fierce pride in her eyes. "We've bloodied their nose," she said. "Now it's time to show them what we can really do." Across the world, humans were gearing up for a major counteroffensive. Scientists were reverse engineering captured alien tech, soldiers were developing new tactics, and ordinary citizens were finding extraordinary courage. The aliens had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves in a fight for survival against an enemy they had grossly underestimated. As night fell once again, Admiral Zex looked at the Earth from his flagship's view screen. The planet no longer seemed like an easy target. Instead, it loomed before him like a formidable fortress, defended by a species whose hidden strengths were only now becoming apparent. The war for Earth was far from over, but one thing was becoming clear: humanity was not going to go down without a fight. And it was a fight they might just win. The war had been raging for a week. Both sides were tired, but neither was ready to give up. The aliens still had superior technology, but the human spirit remained unbroken. It was time for a decisive battle. The alien leaders chose to make their stand in the vast plains of Kansas. They thought the open space would give their advanced weapons an advantage. They were wrong. As the alien ships descended on the wheat fields, they were met with an unexpected sight. The farms were empty. No humans, no animals, nothing but waving golden wheat as far as the eye could see. Admiral Zex frowned at the view screen. "It's too quiet," he muttered. "Where are the humans?" Suddenly, the wheat itself seemed to come alive. Thousands of camouflaged soldiers burst from hidden underground bunkers. They had been waiting, perfectly still, for days. Leading the charge was Colonel Emily Chen, a brilliant tactician. Now, she shouted into her radio. At her command, combines and tractors, retrofitted with alien weapons, roared to life. They cut through the fields, catching the alien forces in a pincer movement. The aliens, caught off guard, scrambled to regroup. But the humans weren't done surprising them yet. High above the battlefield, a squad of human pilots led by Captain Jamal Thompson approached in silence. Their planes had been modified with reverse-engineered alien stealth technology. The aliens never saw them coming. "Remember, aim for their power cores," Jamal reminded his team. "Just like we practiced." The human planes struck with deadly precision, taking out key alien ships before they could react. The sky lit up with explosions, raining debris onto the fields below. On the ground, the battle raged on. Humans fought with a mix of conventional weapons and improvised tools. Farmers wielded plasma-charged pitchforks, while scientists deployed experimental EMP grenades. In the thick of the fight, a young soldier named Lisa Martinez found herself face to face with an alien warrior. The alien was taller, stronger, and had 4 arms, each holding a weapon. Lisa had only her rifle and her wits. As the alien charged, Lisa remembered her training. She dodged, rolled, and then used the alien's momentum against it, judo throwing it over her shoulder. The shocked alien crashed to the ground, and Lisa quickly subdued it. Similar scenes played out across the battlefield. The aliens, for all their advanced technology, were unprepared for the sheer variety of human fighting styles. From martial arts to guerrilla tactics, humans used every trick they knew. Admiral Zex watched in horror as his forces were slowly but surely pushed back. "This can't be happening," he said, his voice shaking. They were supposed to be easy to defeat. As the battle reached its peak, the humans unveiled their secret weapon. Dr. Aisha Patel, a quantum physicist, had been working around the clock since the invasion began. Her team had developed a device that could disrupt the aliens' neural network. When activated, the device sent out a pulse that scrambled the aliens' shared consciousness. Suddenly, the invaders couldn't coordinate their attacks or communicate effectively. The alien forces fell into chaos. Ships collided with each other, ground troops wandered aimlessly, and their once fearsome army began to crumble. As the sun set on the Kansas battlefield, it was clear that a turning point had been reached. The humans had won a decisive victory. In the command center, world leaders gathered to hear the news. When Colonel Chen's report came in, the room erupted in cheers. For the first time since the invasion began, hope blossomed. The president addressed the nation, her voice filled with pride. "Today, we have shown the universe what humanity is capable of. We are not just survivors. We are fighters, innovators, and united in our determination to protect our home." As night fell, bonfires were lit across the Kansas plains. Soldiers and civilians alike celebrated their victory. They sang songs, shared stories, and for a moment, allowed themselves to believe that they might actually win this war. In his flagship, Admiral Zex looked down at the Earth with new eyes. What he had dismissed as a primitive world now seemed like a fortress, defended by the most unpredictable and resourceful species he had ever encountered. The battle for Earth was far from over, but the tide had turned. Humanity had proven that they were not awful at war. In fact, they were formidable opponents, capable of achieving the impossible when pushed to their limits. The truth, as the aliens were learning, was indeed shocking. In the wake of their defeat in Kansas, the alien forces retreated to their orbiting mothership. The vast vessel, once a symbol of their superiority, now felt like a cramped hideout. Admiral Zex called an emergency meeting of his top commanders. As the alien leaders gathered in the ship's strategic room, the atmosphere was tense. Holograms flickered to life, showing scenes from the recent battle. The aliens watched in stunned silence as recordings played of humans using incredible tactics and improvised weapons. Admiral Zex spoke, his voice grave. "We have made a terrible mistake," he said. "These humans, they are not what we thought they were." Commander Orcs, a veteran of 100 planetary conquests, nodded in agreement. "Their adaptability is unlike anything we've ever seen," he said. "They learn and evolve their tactics faster than we can counter them." As the aliens discussed their situation, they began to realize just how wrong their initial assessment of humanity had been. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans were not resting on their laurels. In a hidden bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, a team of international scientists and military strategists were planning their next move. Dr. Elena Sanchez, a brilliant xenobiologist, had been studying captured alien technology. She looked up from her microscope, excitement in her eyes. "I think I've found something," she announced to the room. "The aliens' neural network. I believe we can use it against them." General Zhang Wei, a seasoned military leader, leaned forward with interest. "Go on, Doctor. How can we use this?" Dr. Sanchez explained her theory. By reverse engineering the alien neural technology, they could potentially tap into the aliens' shared consciousness. This would not only give them valuable intelligence, but also allow them to feed false information to the enemy. As the human leaders discussed this new development, they were unaware that they were about to receive an unexpected visitor. Back on the alien mothership, a young alien scientist named Czar was having a crisis of conscience. Unlike his superiors, Czar had spent years studying human culture before the invasion. He had come to admire their art, their music, their capacity for both great kindness and fierce determination. Making a decision that would change the course of the war, Czar snuck away from the mothership in a small craft. As he approached Earth, he broadcast a message on all frequencies. "I come in peace. I want to help." Initially met with suspicion, Czar was eventually brought to the hidden human base. Under heavy guard, he shared crucial information about alien weaknesses and technology. "You must understand," Czar explained to the astonished human leaders. "Many of us never wanted this war. We were told you were savages, incapable of advanced thought or strategy. But you have proven to be so much more." As Czar spoke, the aliens on the mothership were coming to similar realizations. Admiral Zex and his commanders watched more footage from Earth, this time showing humans helping each other in the aftermath of battles, sharing resources, and working together despite their differences. "Look at them," said Commander Wix, wonder in his voice. "Their diversity, which we thought was a weakness, is their greatest strength. Each human brings unique skills and perspectives to their war effort." Admiral Zex nodded slowly. "We have underestimated them in every way," he said. "Their weapons, their tactics, their very nature. We were wrong about it all." As this realization spread through the alien ranks, it brought with it a new emotion: fear. They had come expecting an easy conquest, but now found themselves facing a species more formidable than any they had encountered before. On Earth, armed with Czar's information and their own innovations, the humans prepared for their next major offensive. The tide of war had shifted, and humanity was no longer fighting just to survive, but to win. As both sides prepared for the next phase of the conflict, one thing was clear: the aliens' fundamental misconception about humanity's war-making abilities had been their greatest mistake. The truth about humans' capacity for warfare had indeed shocked them, and the consequences of this realization would reshape the course of the entire war. The war had been raging for months. Earth was scared but not broken. Humans had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. The aliens, once confident in their superiority, now faced an enemy they feared and respected. As dawn broke over the ruins of Paris, both sides prepared for what they knew would be the final battle. The Eiffel Tower, miraculously still standing, served as a silent witness to history in the making. In the alien mothership, Admiral Zex addressed his troops. His voice was solemn. "We underestimated these humans," he said, "but we are still mighty. This battle will decide the fate of our empire. Fight with all you have." Meanwhile, in a makeshift war room beneath the Louvre, human leaders from around the world gathered. General Maria Rodriguez, once a humble video game designer, now stood at the head of the table. She looked at the faces around her: scientists, soldiers, civilians turned warriors. "This is it," Maria said, her voice steady. "Everything we've learned, every sacrifice we've made, has led to this moment. We're not just fighting for our lives anymore. We're fighting for our future." As the sun rose higher, the battle began. Alien ships filled the sky, their weapons charging. But the humans were ready. From hidden bunkers across the city, anti-aircraft guns of human and alien design opened fire. The sky lit up with explosions as ships fell from the air. But this was just the beginning. In the streets, human soldiers armed with reverse-engineered alien weapons engaged the enemy in fierce combat. The aliens, used to relying on their advanced technology, found themselves outmaneuvered by human guerrilla tactics. Young Lieutenant Ahmed Hassan led a squad through the narrow alleys of Montmartre. They used their knowledge of the city to ambush alien patrols, striking fast and disappearing before the enemy could respond. In the air, Captain Yuki Tanaka led a squadron of fighters. Their planes, a mix of human and alien tech, danced through the sky in maneuvers the aliens had never seen before. "Remember your training," Yuki called to her pilots. "We're more than a match for them now." But the aliens fought back hard. They had learned from their mistakes too. Their ships now used unpredictable patterns, making them harder to hit. Their ground troops had adapted to human tactics, using cover and coordination in ways they never had before. The battle raged across Paris, from the Champs-Élysées to the banks of the Seine. Every street, every building became a battleground. Humans fought with everything they had, their fierce determination matching the aliens' advanced weaponry. In the Louvre, Dr. Elena Sanchez and her team worked frantically. They had developed a virus that could infect the aliens' neural network, but they needed to get close to the mothership to deploy it. That's when Tsar, the alien defector, stepped forward. "I can get you there," he said. "My ship can get past their defenses." It was a dangerous mission, but it was their best chance. The Lena and a small team boarded Tsar's ship, blasting off towards the alien mothership hovering above the city. As they approached, Admiral Zex received an alert. "Impossible," he muttered, recognizing Tsar's ship. But before he could react, Elena's team had docked with the mothership. In the heart of the alien vessel, Elena raced against time to upload the virus. Alarms blared, and alien troops converged on their position. Tsar and the human soldiers fought desperately to buy Elena more time. Just as the aliens were about to overwhelm them, Elena shouted in triumph, "It's done." The effect was immediate. Across the battlefield, alien ships began to lose control. Their coordinated attacks fell into chaos. On the ground, alien troops stumbled, their neural links disrupted. Seeing their chance, the humans pressed their advantage. General Rodriguez's voice crackled over the comms. "This is our moment. Push them back." With renewed energy, human forces surged forward. The aliens, their greatest strength now turned against them, began to retreat. As the sun set over Paris, the outcome was clear. The aliens were defeated, their invasion repelled by the very species they had thought would be an easy conquest. Admiral Zex, watching his fleet crumble, finally understood the truth. Humans weren't awful at war. They were, perhaps, the most formidable warriors the galaxy had ever seen. The final showdown had proved once and for all. Underestimating humanity was the greatest mistake the aliens could have made. The shocking truth of human resilience and adaptability had changed the course of galactic history forever. In the weeks following the Battle of Paris, Earth began to heal. The alien invasion, which had threatened to destroy humanity, had instead united the planet like never before. As the dust settled, a new era dawned, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. On a warm summer day, world leaders gathered in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in New York. The mood was one of cautious optimism. They had won the war, but what came next? President Chen of the newly formed Earth Alliance addressed the assembly. "We have proven ourselves on the battlefield," she said, her voice firm. "Now we must prove ourselves in peace." As if on cue, a message came through on the main screen. It was from the Galactic Federation, the very organization that had dismissed humans as primitive just months ago. Now, they were requesting a meeting. Miles above the Earth, aboard the International Space Station, a historic encounter was about to take place. Admiral Zex, once the leader of the invasion force, now approached as a diplomat. With him was Czar, the defector who had helped turn the tide of the war. Waiting to greet them was a diverse group of human representatives. General Maria Rodriguez, Dr. Elena Sanchez, and Captain Yuki Tanaka stood side by side, a living testament to the unity and diversity that had been key to humanity's victory. As the airlock opened, there was a moment of tension. Then, to everyone's surprise, Admiral Zex bowed deeply. On behalf of the Galactic Federation, he said, his translator conveying the humility in his voice, "I come to offer our deepest apologies and to request peace." The humans exchanged glances. This was not what they had expected. General Rodriguez stepped forward. "We're listening," she said cautiously. Over the next few hours, an extraordinary conversation unfolded. The aliens explained how their initial assessment of Earth had been based on old data and prejudiced assumptions. They had seen humans' internal conflicts as a sign of weakness, not realizing it was these very struggles that had made humanity so adaptable and resilient. "We came to conquer," Zex admitted, "but in our defeat, we have learned more than we ever could in victory. Your species has much to teach our galaxy." Dr. Sanchez, ever the scientist, was curious. "And what have you learned?" she asked. Czar, the former defector, spoke up. "Creativity," he said. "Adaptability. The strength that comes from diversity. These are things our homogeneous society have forgotten. You've reminded us of their value." As the talks continued, it became clear that this was more than just a peace negotiation. It was the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. Back on Earth, the news of the meeting spread rapidly. In cities and villages around the world, humans gathered to watch the live broadcast. They had fought hard for their planet. Now they watched with bated breath as their future was decided. Finally, after days of negotiation, an agreement was reached. Earth would join the Galactic Federation, not as a conquered world, but as a full and equal member. Human representatives would sit on the Galactic Council, their unique perspectives now valued across the stars. In return, the Federation would help Earth rebuild and provide access to advanced technology. But perhaps more importantly, they would open the galaxy to human exploration and settlement. As the human delegates returned to Earth, they were greeted as heroes. But the real work was just beginning. Humanity now faced the challenge of finding its place in a much larger universe. Universities across the planet began offering courses in alien languages and cultures. Earth's military started joint training exercises with their former enemies, exchanging tactics and technologies. Human art and music spread to alien worlds, while strange and wonderful alien creations found eager audiences on Earth. 5 years after the invasion, the first human colony ship left for the stars. As it accelerated away from Earth, Captain Lai Wei, its commander, looked back at the blue planet that had seemed so vulnerable not long ago. "They said we were awful at war," Lai mused to his diverse crew. "But it turns out we're even better at peace." As Earth shrank to a tiny blue dot behind them, humanity took its first steps into a larger galaxy. They carried with them the lessons of the war, the strength found in unity, the power of adaptability, and the unbreakable spirit that had shocked the galaxy. The aliens had been right about one thing. The truth about humanity was indeed shocking, but not for the reasons they had initially thought. Humans weren't awful at war. They were extraordinary at survival, adaptation, and, given the chance, at forging a peace that could change the galaxy forever. As the colony ship disappeared into the depths of space, it carried with it the promise of a new era, one where humanity's unique strengths would help shape a better future for all species across the stars.